Hi, I'm Kara Pogreba. Welcome to Bright Hope Creations. I'm making an Easter tag today using Poppystamps stitched Main Street tags and a Sizzix Tim Holtz embossing folder. And this is the top part of the tag, and that's the bottom. It's going to be a shaker. And I also cut some grass out of that, but I'm flipping it around so that you see the stitch detail at the top of the grass. This is a Papertrey Ink sun rays from Skyscapes, and I made 2 of those, and I'm cutting out some foam, but I'm going to use thicker foam today. So this is 3mm foam instead of the normal 2mm foam. And when you put this through the die cut machine, it doesn't seem to pop up as nice, so I trimmed that off a bit. I'm just going to assemble everything, put the sun rays together so that you can see the darker ones peeking out. And I'm going to figure out where to put those on the back. So I'm figuring that out, and then I'm going to glue those down. And this is for a challenge for Tag Your It, number 85. If you're here in April 2019, we hope that you'll come and play along. All right, I was taking a little of this top part off just to decrease the bulk in the back panel of the tag and adhere the grass on there. And now I want to put an opening there. So this is a template that I had already created, and I'm just going to trace it out and cut that out of the front of my tag. So this is looking through the empty tomb out into the horizon on Easter Sunday. And that's where I want it to be, and we can start coloring. So I'm just finding out where I want my shadows with a warm gray, and this is a light one, not too light so that I don't feel like I need to make it too light. This is a lot of, I'll say, scribbling today to make these, because it's a cave. It's a rocky dirt cave. So I'm finding out where I want those shadows. So I'm making a floor. You can see with the two lines on the bottom, and then I'm just figuring out where that's going to be. I come in with a W3 and darken those up. I'm just starting to build up the shadow of this cave. Now, the embossing folder has more of a brick-like look, but I'm not going for brick, and you'll see it'll kind of transform into rocks and away from the rectangular brick look. I come in with some cool grays, and I am trying to make a mixture of colors so that there's an interest to the rocky dirt cave. So this is a C2, and again, I am really just scribbling in the color, trying to get layers of different color. And then C4, coming in, giving it some darker shadows, and pretty much scribbles. More in the outer areas, and then where the rocks will look like they're coming together. And I'm not going to put a ribbon on the top of this. This tag is going to be set inside one of my daughter's Easter baskets. And I decided to come back in and give it a little bit more depth there. And then I'm going in with an E43 and putting in some kind of a gray-brown color to give it that dirt look, especially on the floor. I want that to be a dirt floor. But also up on the walls, it's a dirt cave. So I'm trying to stay real loose with my coloring, and this is something you could do if you were on caffeine, because just the jittery motion of the coloring makes it real kind of freeing, I think, instead of having to be so precise and trying to stay within lines. And I'm darkening that up a bit with the E44. I think this is as dark as I get. I'm not trying to go too dark here. But you can see the style of the front of the tag is very different than the back of the tag, and I just wanted that stylized difference to show the difference between death and life. I don't know if it shows death and life, but that's what I was going for. So I'm blending now out with the W2 because the basic color of this is a warm gray. And the other colors, the E's and the C's, are just there to give it some differences, but the basic color here is the warm gray. So I blended in with that, and now I'm blending in even more with the lighter warm gray, and just getting everything to kind of look like it goes together. That's what the blending's all about. And then once I'm getting this where I like it, where it's all blended out, then as always with Copic coloring, well, for me, it seems a little too blended. And so that's where I come back in and add back those shadows and the darkest areas. And that's where it really makes an impact, I think. So coming through, coloring everything, and then coming back to blend it all together, but then getting those shadows back in. I think that's where the real magic of Copics happens. And you can see it's starting to look more like rocks instead of a rectangle brick look, and that's just because I'm curving or rounding on those edges where those bricks go together. Just touching things up where I want, coming back out, blending the darker W with a bit lighter. And you could use other colors for this if you wanted, other browns. You could even use some purples in that, blue violets. There'd be a lot of different ideas for coloring this. All right, so I'm going to check to see how it looks with the background. You can see a real difference there, but I tended not to pay enough attention to the top, so I'm coming back in to give that some more depth. That would be darker just because it's not where the cave opening is and the light isn't shining through at that point, so I wanted to darken that up. There we go. And I think that's good. Yep, I like that there. So now I'm going to create the shaker portion. I'm going to cut out that foam in the middle. And the reason I wanted to use a thicker foam is because of the shaker pieces that I'm going to put in. They're actually pieces that I'm creating. They're not sequins. So I stack that all together, and now you'll see these are little flowers, and I cut them out with just the two little ones from the MFT Spring Garden, and I'm just poking the centers with a stylus to get them to cup a bit. And you can use all kinds of things in here, but that's what I had. I didn't really have any flower sequins. So I put some Scor-tape on the foam, and I'm adhering that to the back. And then I'll put my little shaker pieces in there and get them. I want them all looking upright, so that's why I'm being a little careful getting those in there. I'm cutting some acetate to fit the front, and I'm going to heat emboss a sentiment on there from Papertrey Ink's Inspired Savior. So I'm using an anti-static powder bag to make sure I don't have any stray embossing powder. Stamp that with VersaMark ink, which is a sticky glue-like ink. And I have some Simon Says Stamp Fine Detail White Embossing Powder. And then I'm just going to make sure that I don't have any stray little bits of powder on there. And I'm going to come in with a little craft pick because there's a couple of areas I just want to make sure that you can see the word, like the center of that A or the parts of the N. And now I have my heat gun really good and hot, and I'm just coming in and trying not to touch this too much so it doesn't warp the acetate. I put some Scor-tape on the back of the front panel, getting that ready so that I can line up where I want my sentiment and adhere that down. And I'm going to get this Scor-tape ready because then the front panel is going to go on top of there. But I realized I not only wanted the Scor-tape around the shaker, but I need it to adhere the whole thing. So off goes the liner and on comes the front of the tag. And I'm just being extra careful to line that up because once it's down, it's hard to get back up out of that Scor-tape. So I'm really taking my time here and working from one edge to the other. And it's all done. So let's see it in action. Woo! All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I hope you have a great day.